brings back so many great memories for me too, Blake, because when I started a Greek ministry at the University of Arkansas from scratch as well, I remember our very first study, we had 4 people come and they rotated coming each week, you know. And so you got to start somewhere, right? But I dubbed myself the Greek chaplain. And I even had letterhead, and I started something called the Greek Council, and every chapter got to submit 2 people their names would be on the letterhead, and they were part of the Greek Council, and I was the Greek chaplain, and I kind of positioned myself as a leadership coach, you know. And people said, well, who gave you the right to be the Greek chaplain or form the Greek Council? And I said, nobody, I did, you know. And so, yeah, you take some insane risks sometimes, but some of our listeners, you know, they may not have been part of a fraternity or sorority, or they may not be comfortable with that, or they may think that that's already a reached group or an unreachable group. I don't know what our listeners or participants might be thinking, but the principle you're talking about of focusing on the mainstream, it's not saying it has to be fraternity or sorority or athletes. You're really just saying, if we're going to multiply ourselves rather than just add, we've got to look to people that are relationally networked to others. And so the mainstream, am I on the right track here, Blake, that the mainstream of a campus would just be the groups and the individuals that have the strongest, the broadest, the deepest network of relationships? Because if they come to Christ, they then can kind of be a ricochet effect of impacting those around them in their network. Are we on the right track there?
Absolutely. And when we started, we didn't know we were going to focus on fraternities. We were totally open to the mainstream being somewhere else, because we know that it's different on every single campus. But when we got there, we realized that it was. And so for me, you know, not being in a fraternity, this goes back to do whatever it takes. I couldn't use that as an excuse to say, well, I can't reach fraternity guys just because I wasn't in a fraternity. I used, I thought through, can I still add value to this fraternity? Yes. And so, you know, I think that's an important thing to remember when you go to a chapter like that. You can't come in saying, hey, I'm going to come in and recruit all you guys to my thing. They're like, who are you? You have to come in with this, hey, I'm here to serve you. I want to help you guys. How can I add value? And if you come in with that mindset, they'll welcome you. Now, there's still trust to be built. I mean, there was one, I'll be honest, there was one fraternity. I was doing everything I could to reach this fraternity and get to know them. And I had some friends that were in this fraternity back at Mikey, so I would kind of name drop them, things like that, let them know I'm a good guy. Well, I find out from one of the new pledges. So I had kind of befriended this new pledge, but he told me, he goes, dude, the chapter president came to our meeting last night and told the entire chapter to stay away from you. Stay away from that Blake Brewer guy. And Shad, man, Paul, it hurt. I was like, what? I am over here doing everything I can to serve these guys. I pray for these guys. They only knew what I'm trying to do for them, and they're telling the entire chapter to stay away from me. And so it hurt. It did hurt my confidence a little bit, but I had to come back to, no, I know that God's called me here, and I know that I'm supposed to be here. And honestly, I made a strategic decision to just kind of stay away from that chapter for the time being. And a year later, God ended up opening up the door, and man, that ended up being one of our biggest fraternities, like most involved. And it's amazing how there's some stories there that, God totally changed it.